When you belong to God, it's never always an easy job or an easy task or an easy position to be in. There is so much that is required of you, there is so much that you're expected to do. And the saddest thing about it is, there is such a big price that is asked of you to pay that you do not want to pay and you cannot even afford to pay. And so then there you're put in a position where you feel like you're less than what's required of you or whom you're expected to be. And you're just like, well, God, how could you do this to me? There's times where you feel like, how could you abandon me this way? How could you leave me out here and feed me to the wolves? Even if you're alive, even if you make it, you're like, if I was your dove, why would you make me feel that way? I would never do that to you. I would never make you feel this way. And then you stop thinking about you at some point in time and you think about him, and you're like, well, maybe the reason he's doing these things is because he's been through it and he's going through it and he still goes through it, but he says no, he's not going through it anymore. And like, he speaks to you through you, in you, with you, and you're like, well, this is a lot to deal with, and nobody else even really understands the fight that you're fighting or the struggle that you're struggling, and all you could do is do your best to explain everything to the rest of the world. And how could you do that without first going through a fight with your number one man, going through a battle with the one person that you fell in love with from day one, just because that was your first experience? He was the first man that you ever saw. He was the first man that showed you and told you he loved you, even when you were at your worst, even when you didn't look your best or you were not doing your best. And even if you didn't hear his voice right away, you felt his emotions and his feelings for you. And everything, that all the happiness that you had in you was him. And the minute he even stepped away, or even the most confusing part, when he got closer, things got worse, which makes you like, well, I don't want to be close to you, God. I don't want to be near you. Why would I want to be near you? Because I don't want to feel this. I don't want to suffer. I don't want to go through what Jesus went through, because you're nothing but a human being, but you're expected to experience and do supernatural things. And you're like, supernatural things, how is it even possible? And you completely forget that you are a walking supernatural being in the flesh, just not immortal. You're immortal at this moment, but your very existence is immortal, right? The fact that you're breathing when you're walking down the street, this is all miraculous. You're a walking miracle. You are a walking miracle. How is it possible that you are here breathing, that you came from a sperm as small as like an ant, probably smaller, and look at you, you came from nothing, but look at what nothing turned into. You became something. You became a baby in your mother's belly, and you grew and you became a person. God planted you on this planet Earth, and now look at you. You're able to brush your hair. You're able to breathe. You're able to dress yourself up. You got to thank God for these abilities. And a lot of times it's hard to thank God for the abilities when you feel like you're about to be crucified in the worst way. How could you thank God for even existing when everything that he ever gave you is about to be snatched away or has been snatched away? It's so hard to praise God in the worst situations, and yet they say worship God even in the worst situations. And we do worship God, we do, but God is the kind of man that is like, I want you to treat me the same way you treat other people. I mean, don't abuse me, but abuse me. And you're like, what are you talking about? And then you're like, he starts opening up his the past to you, and you're not like trying to be mean or anything, but you're like, he's like, you, I know you in your past life. I knew you before you were born, meaning he knew you before you were even born in this world, because you existed already in his heart, in his mind, and in the physical to him before you entered and were born into this world. And he tells you, you are Mother Earth. You are the woman that I fell in love with. You are the woman I first laid my eyes on. And you're like, What? I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm nothing. I mean, look at all these gorgeous. This is what Eve was like. This is what you are like not you specifically, but this girl that you're looking at is like. What are you guys, what are you talking about? She comes from a peaceful set mindset. Nobody, not hearing voices, nothing but her peaceful the silence in her mind, and just in love with herself, in love with creation, in love with creating. Then all of a sudden the creator drags her into the streets. He drags her and completely embarrasses and humiliates her, making her feel the worst she's ever felt since she was born, and then telling her, hey, look, you got to teach them, how to survive. What if you were pregnant and the restrooms were full? What if you're pregnant and you were in line and nobody, you know what I mean? You got to learn how to pee, because a lot of people are in a hospital and are suffering from urinary tract infections and all sorts of things because of holding urine in. A lot of times survival means humiliating yourself, and it's humiliation. Look what Jesus, the king, not the king, but the man that God made king, not above him, but beside him, and not even next to him, but beside him. Okay, guys, so just, yeah, pour it in there. And then sometimes when you do this, it starts to smell around the tree. So usually what we do, just to make this real quick before we get back into the topic, is spray the bottle, spray the cup. And guys, this stuff is not easy. It takes a lot of work. And then you pour around the tree. And then a lot of people might be like, well, the tree could be through worse, could be going through worse. You know, these trees are not even real here in California from what I heard. But unless you go to like South Beach or something. But other than that, that's some little spray to kill bacteria and to kill the odor, because you want to keep the neighborhood smelling great. You don't want the pee or urine to dry out and then the whole place starts smelling like urine, and then you're just like, oh my God. You're like, oh my God, you don't want to pass by, because I'm just that kind of person. I'm the person that's just like a germaphobe. I don't like germs, I don't like bacteria. So God put me in like the worst situation to ever be in, and it's not even the worst situation, because there could be worse, and all you could do is try to be grateful. In the beginning I did embrace it, but don't forget, guys, don't forget to wipe down there, because if you do constantly wipe down there, you will keep the bacteria off of you. And this is for people that are suffering from being homeless, and just, or people that are having a hard time, that are pregnant and just don't know what to do. You know, you don't have to pee on yourself, you don't have to wear diapers, because a lot of these adult diapers don't even work. Like, I tried them, they just hold like a little bit of accident, but they don't, you can't like literally pee in them. They're not diapers really. So I've tried them. And so just keeping yourself sanitized and keeping your hands clean and everything, because a lot of other people are watching, and it's hard to stand out here when people are watching. You're like, oh, people are watching, you gotta block the people out. And guys, this is not the same cup I used to pee in, guys, just so you know. This is just a cup of ice that was on top, and the cup that I did pee in is at the very bottom. And so see, ice, it's not what I sprayed. So be very careful to not do what I'm doing, thinking that that's what to do. But yeah, you grab a cart like this, and this cart was like literally $500. It's $1,000, but we got it for $500 on sale. Or maybe it wasn't even a sale, we were just lucky that the owner or the person that was selling this cart did not sell it for as much as we've seen many. Yeah, these carts go up to $1,000. But when people donate to you, don't waste your money on drugs. Yeah, you can buy a little alcohol, drink in moderation, but do not over drink, because the last thing you want to do or find yourself being is a hangover person in the street with nowhere to rest, nowhere to run. Like, I have puked on the ground, I have done all of that, and you never want to be that person, right? You want to keep yourself as organized as possible, and that in its own, that by itself is a job. Like, that is a job, because it takes a lot of work just to stay that way. That's just why you see a lot of like homeless people just out of it, can't hang, like they're just going through so much. And the biggest thing they're suffering from is mental disorders and hearing voices. I know that's the one thing that just threw me off. Like, I thought I hit rock bottom by not having a place, but no, that wasn't it. Rock bottom is not having the energy and suffering from mental disorders and not having the peace of mind anymore. So guys, It's not an easy walk walking with God. It's not an easy walk knowing Jesus. But you know what? It gets better and it does get easier. And there is a big reward for you and for those who follow and are obedient to God. So be blessed and be strong.